All right. So today I have Jason Thierry from the Gig Economy podcast on. And first of all, thank you for being on, Jason.
Of course, it's always a pleasure, Steve, to come on. We talk a lot via, I don't know, tweets and stuff like that, but it's always fun to come on and talk to you.
Yeah. And actually, the last few weeks have been, we had Lenny on from the Driving Guild. We've just had a couple of episodes, especially that the Lenny one was a little tough because it was about drivers who have been killed in the line of duty. He's like their lead liaison for dealing with families of the drivers who are killed.
Okay.
For the Chicago office. And as we all know, Chicago is one of the most violent cities in the world these days.
Yeah.
So on top of just rideshare drivers being hijacked, carjacked, killed, stabbed, whatever, Chicago's running through like these crazy numbers of like all this happening all the time. So it's like every day, like even the day we recorded last week, there had just been a stabbing the night before of a driver.
That's crazy.
I don't
know why you would drive in Chicago.
But I know. But it's happening elsewhere too. I mean, look at those two girls who, grabbed that Uber Eats driver's car and had him hanging on and ripped him. And
yeah, we just talked about that on our last show about they did get sentenced to till they're 21 and then they get let free because they're juveniles. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, before we move in, I want to actually bring that up because when I was talking to Lenny last week, I don't know if you remember, but like 3 years ago, there was a 16-year-old girl who took an Uber in Chicago. And while the Uber driver was getting close to the destination, she pulled out a machete
and hit him at Walmart, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hit him ended up by a Walmart.
Hit him like 17 times, like way killed him. Disgusting, violent. She went to juvie, and she now just got sentenced to life as an adult.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of, when I saw that what you were talking about, how those girls got sentenced, because again, like you and I were talking about before I hit record, it's kind of crazy because it was like a headline that grabbed me. It was like, these girls get the full amount of time or whatever. And then I read it and I'm like, no, they didn't.
Yeah.
They got like 3 years in juvie and then they get their life back.
I wonder how that works. It's probably different in different states. Like you talk about the other one. Maybe she didn't do what she was supposed to do when she was in juvie and was still a problem. I don't know. I don't know how you get, it seems like you get.
Do you want to really let that person out?
No, I don't. But
I mean, a machete, dude, and a 16-year-old girl, and she felt okay from the backseat, just going, like, come on, dude, that's horror movie stuff.
That is pretty scary. Pretty scary.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm somebody who believes that, yeah, if you commit a crime as a juvenile, you should be sentenced as a juvenile and left at that. But there are crimes that exceed a 2-year juvenile sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas like if you or I did it, they'd shoot us.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention to you, the last episode I listened on yours because I'm behind. It was the TNC Radio Houston or that was really interesting with the truck driving.
The TNC.
I really enjoyed listening to that one.
Yeah. Those guys are cool.
Yeah. It was a good episode. I mean, it wasn't rideshare-esque, it wasn't really, but it was still cool to hear about that trucking world and those kind of things.
Yeah. Well, it's because when they started, if you heard in that one that when he started that, it was supposed to be for rideshare, but then the pandemic hit.
Yeah, you gotta
luckily he changed. TNC was supposed to be because that's what us rideshare drivers go under is TNC, but he changed it to Truckers National or whatever. So he was able to make those work for,
Smart
and he just adjusted. But I learned a lot on that episode too. I was pretty shocked at how much you can make going into that industry, and and their respect for rideshare drivers too. I was pretty shocked and impressed with all that. that they do a lot of the last mile type stuff. Like when a trucker's not working, especially if they own a truck, they usually don't have a car. So they can't take their 18 wheeler without the back on, just the cab to the grocery store.
Yeah, there was a story a while back. I think we talked about a driver had to get a delivery from the Wendy's he was at. He literally was parked at the Wendy's in his rig. Now, I don't know if he had a trailer with him, but he couldn't go through the drive-through and they wouldn't take walk up. So he had to literally get delivery from like DoorDash or Uber Eats from that Wendy's to 10 feet to his truck because like he was screwed. Like he needed to eat and that was the only way. They wouldn't serve him. And that was due to the pandemic, of course. Things are opening up now. A lot of our restaurants here are not. The lobbies are still closed, but
Really?
just because of staffing, no one wants to work here.
Oh yeah.
That's
I think you guys will find that you get past that a little quick. Like, I mean, quick, but we went through that too. I mean, in a big way. Things started opening and they were like shutting down early. They were like, we got to close, and they'd close for an extra day or two, even just be closed because they didn't have staff.
I think a lot of them though don't want to open the lobby because they are saving on 2 or 3 employees running it just the way they are.
Yeah, sure. If the kitchen can keep up.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, out here in Colorado during the pandemic, the bars were hurting so bad that when we did reopen, the governor said that through the pandemic, we could deliver bars could sell drinks to go.
Yes.
And in to go cups. So like you could go to your favorite bar, get your favorite drinks and all these and shots even. We were making like these shot like holders for up to 20 that then went into like these like little Cisco cups with tops.
Okay.
I mean, you could really do like group shots and all this and so like now they've extended that till 2024.
What?
Yeah, till 2024 we can serve liquor that you walk out of the bar with and just have an open container.
Yeah, I think they did something like that here. Not as aggressive as what you're sounding like, but I think you could get to go booze for a while at some of the restaurants.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now the delivery companies are taking them anyway. So, I mean, really, you could order from Drizzly Uber, a bottle of Jack Daniels to be delivered to you at a park.
Yes. Yeah, why do you want to even go drive and pick it up? Just get it delivered, man. That helps all of us. Helps you, helps me.
Yeah, I just thought that was pretty funny because really that's all I started seeing in my head anyway was underage issues.
Okay, yeah.
Like how many people you're going to get going, yeah, it's for my dad. He's in the shower.
Okay. Yeah, here's his ID. He's been dead for 3 years. Here it is.
But yeah, so I was going to talk about a bunch of things, but I think that we need to talk about this para thing.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of people are either thinking out loud on what they think happened or they're putting it out there incorrectly. So I thought a quick summary thing. One thing I wanted to mention was one thing that concerned us at Para, just so you all know, and we will get to the fact that everything out there that you're hearing is pretty much not correct. And maybe with a lot of people, it's not their fault yet, but they're still reporting and putting things out there that aren't right. And I would just tell all the Para users to hang tight because really none of us at Para have seen anything that resembles full truth. And we're all about transparency. So, but 10 weeks ago, we had 800 users on the Para app. Okay. That's
crazy.
That's when we were just trying to pull data for people and get people's data to them and make sure that they could see everything and make sure, we were just kind of going through some of the original things Para was designed for. And then 6 weeks after that, we were at 29,000 users of the app. That was 4 weeks ago. As of today, we're at 189,000.
Oh, gosh.
So we have 189,000 users on this app. Obviously, one thing that we saw at Para was, and that we now think is a thing, is that we worried about growth a little bit with our small team, like how growth would be combated, because, you know, everybody thinks, well, growth with something is great. Well, it is if you have a big team or the right people to, when you don't have a huge team, you know, like what it really did, people were saying, don't tell people about para, they're going to shut it down. And that's not it. I mean, it was going to grow organically on its own. But when you see that, when para saw 800 or DoorDash, obviously they're not concerned. When they see 29,000, they're like, okay, that's, you know, that's what, you know, out of the 2 million DoorDashers we have in the country, that's nothing.
Right.
So whatever. I think when they saw 188, they thought, okay, this is getting a little too far. And their growth rate, our growth rate is about, you know, somewhere between 12 and 2,000 new users a day.
Yeah.
So we're onboarding so many people that, you know, the onboarding process is basically just put in your credentials and you're in, because we don't have the facility until you show that you're being a troll or screwing up to do anything. And we're not doing background checks. And,
yes,
you know, it's just like, we're just kind of taking your word at it. And then if you're a troll or something, we have to deal with it. But I don't know. I thought that was a pretty huge thing. And one thing that we've always said to all you para users, and this is something DoorDash should listen to too, is that we both welcome and challenge DoorDash. So this is a challenge to DoorDash to do exactly what we were doing.
Right.
To provide full tip transparency. Because guess what, guys? If we were getting that from para, or if we at para were getting that information from DoorDash and presenting it to you, then you don't even need to really think this one through. Then DoorDash has that information.
Yeah.
They know what you're being paid. They don't want to tell you.
Which is stupid.
But I mean, they don't want people cherry picking, you know, and it's, I can see what they're kind of saying, because I mean, like, I'm not on their side, but you know, they can't, it's a fine line that they walk between independent contractors and employees. And now me and you, we want to both be independent contractors. Almost everybody on the para app wants to remain independent contractors because they want to stay flex and all that. So we're not like pro AB5 and trying to do that, but we believe, and this is something David and I believed long before the tip transparency portion was out, was that we believe that in the gig economy, you are owed every opportunity to know what you're earning and make complete responsible decisions for you based on all the information.
Yes, that's only fair.
Right. Federal and state laws that address independent contractors all of them say that independent contractors are allowed to use all and any tools they want without the permission of the middleman company that's giving them the gig.
Okay.
So I'm allowed as an independent contractor, whether it be old school type before app-based platforms or whatever, I'm allowed to use whatever I want to make my job as smooth and as quick and as efficient as I want.
Yeah, to make the most educated decision on that job.
So therefore, the terms of service with DoorDash that we all click, I agree, update. Okay, well, now this gets a little confusing because they can say in there that, well, we don't want you using third-party apps. Okay, well, now so if you do that, you're going against what you spent all your money on Prop 22 for, because you're saying that we're not independent contractors.
Right.
And if you do that, you dropped, you know, whatever, all that money on Prop 22 to make sure it flipped AB5. Well, okay, well, now it did. Now you're going against that. And they know it. They know it because they really, if they wanted to stop you from using the para app, they wouldn't have had to even try and scrape para. They could have just said, listen, if you fall below 80% acceptance, 70%, whatever it is,
yep,
make up a number. And if you fall below that, you can't work on the platform. Problem is, they can't do that because of Prop 22.
No,
you can't have Dude, they might as well, all the apps might as well take acceptance off. They cannot use acceptance against you anymore. At least in California for sure. And they're using Prop 22 as their platform around the country. So, I mean,
right.
Really anywhere. They can't say your acceptance is so low, we're kicking you off, because independent contractors don't have acceptance ratings.
Right.
It's just,
Man,
do you want to take the gig or not?
They've kind of pigeonholed themselves a little bit.
Now, David and I discussed the fact that, does that mean that we go to court with DoorDash? Hell no, because they'd just keep it in court for 100 years and we wouldn't win that. We just want to make it very public that federal and state laws and guidelines that talk about independent contractors say you are allowed every tool at your disposal outside of the employer or referring agency. So therefore, I mean, I made a joke to David, like, none of us read the DoorDash update. We just click it so that we can have the update.
Of course.
They can write whatever they want. And this might be reaching a little far, but I want to use this as an example. If they put in there, you're giving your firstborn child to us, that's not going to hold up in any court in this world. Doesn't matter that it's in their TOS.
Right.
It's just going to be like, no, you can't do that. Which brings up the point that I'm trying to make here, that you can't just put anything in there. And it's, I'm an independent contractor who wants to stay one. And it's still, they're fighting for the fact that, hey, listen, we don't have to be completely transparent. Yes, you do.
Yes.
Yes,
100%.
you do. Especially when you know those tips.
Yeah. Why do you think the other apps don't do that? Because I know Grubhub, I mean, as far as I know, when I stopped, I mean, I still do an off and on gig work, but my full-time gig work stopped mid-March. They were not doing that. And Uber wasn't doing it either. So I'm just curious why DoorDash has decided to do that.
In their own ways, they do, because that's actually part of what's coming up with Paras that we're launching. And we were anyway before this, Grubhub and Uber Eats into the app.
Okay.
For transparency.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they all take advantage of their drivers in a certain way. You're right. But I don't specifically see, because like with DoorDash, it was like, I knew anything over $7 or $7.50, chances are there was going to be a higher tip on there. I don't see that with Grubhub and Uber, but they probably control you in different ways.
Well, now DoorDash is having to do, they've actually, people see, here's another misconception that I've heard people say a lot. Glad you actually mentioned that, because people are saying that DoorDash caught us, that they found our patch and that they scraped it. No, they didn't. What they did was they separated the subtotal and the tip. So that what the piece of information and data that we need, the data node we need, is only reading the subtotal of the order minus the tip.
Okay.
And so they actually didn't find us. And so instead they reprogrammed it so you don't see the tip until after you do the delivery. Which is what I was pointing out to you. They literally had to change the entire nation's market due to Para.
Yeah.
So we at Para consider that a win. Now, David and I were talking, and it's still, they took us down in that round. So it's 1-0 at the end of the first inning.
Yep.
But it's the first inning, man. I mean, we're not even close to done. And we got a lot more coming. I mean, the DoorDash thing alone, people have kind of, I think, misheard or misinterpreted what's going on. Because when I talk to people, they're like, yeah, you're going to do some estimate. And they make it sound very belittling. But really, guys, we've been doing this and trying it, and our estimates are pretty close. Like, we're running about 85-90% close with telling you through the app, this is a good one for you to take.
I love people that talk shit about something that's free that helps them make them more money.
I know, dude. And you got to think some are trolls, but then some just aren't. They're just assholes.
Dude, the Facebook group, I mean, sweet Jesus. It is like the shit show of shit shows on there. I read some of these comments, and I'll read a post and it'll be like 75 comments. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? I
know. And like, to those people, I'd like to say, like, instead of slamming Para, why don't you take a minute and give us some applause and some kudos to the team that brought you Para for free and made you a lot more money.
Now let me interject. That being said, there have been a lot of positives on there too. It's
I
not
know.
just negative, but people are saying leave them alone. They'll figure it out. I mean, this is tech stuff. This isn't something you just like fix overnight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So calm down.
Right. But at the same time, like even on our app chat, I mean, we're shutting that down right now because it's gotten so bad.
Oh,
It was getting bad before this happened because we were so busy we weren't even really focused on it. But with the growth of 800 to 188,000 people, the general chat, not the each market, but the general chat was getting out of hand. I think you know this, it had been overrun like any chat room can if you don't have moderators.
Oh, you have to have moderators.
Right. Because then if you don't, and all the time moderators, if you don't, people who have been kicked off Twitter, Facebook, those kind of things, they have groups of people that also have. And when they find a chat that's not moderated, they just tell all their troll friends and they troll and come in and hate on everything. And yeah, all the things they were kicked off every other platform for.
Exactly.
They started doing on yours. And that's kind of where that one was. So, yeah, lots of misinformation out there. So obviously everybody knows the tip transparency is down. And we are doing 2 updates for Para. I'm looking at my notes just to make sure that I get this right because I don't want to get it wrong. One is this Thursday, and one will be in 2 weeks. Grubhub, Uber Eats, earnings tracker, and the temporary DoorDash fix, which will be a prediction from us, basically, of whether or not our algorithm thinks you should take that trip based on the area, the day, the time, the restaurant, the amount of the subtotal of the order, things like that, based against the previous ones that we've had that showed big tips. We'll be able to tell you this is, we think very accurately, like 9 out of 10 times, basically, will be right, that this is a trip worth taking. The only thing that you won't see and this, again, this is just to be fixed by Thursday to be able to have this. And then we're still working on getting the patch back. But the bottom line is the only thing you won't be able to see that really could affect you is the unicorn tips. But those aren't as prevalent as just good tips. Like you won't see an $80 tip on a $10 order anymore.
No.
But that's, I mean, you might, and you probably won't even see something like that come up as we think you should take this because we don't have that information. We would see a $10 order from somewhere and go, probably not.
Right.
So it actually, there might be those unicorn cases that those you're just going to have to guess on. We can't do that right now.
So you do have a goal of trying to figure out a workaround to get back to the original, what Para was.
Or if they just decide that I mean, dude, one thing we're kind of hoping on is that enough dashers complain that, hey, you changed even your pathetic tip transparency to pathetic minus 100.
Right.
And now what the hell?
Right. That would be sweet.
Because that is going to start happening tomorrow. I mean, starting tomorrow, you're going to see this is a $3 ride. Okay, well, what's my tip? We'll tell you after you do it. And I think their stance is, restaurant patrons don't tip till the end. You don't need to know that tip till the end. And
but every other app pre-tips up front.
Grubhub. Right, but also, they're walking a very fine line because of this employee IC thing. And if they know the full amount, they are then withholding it on purpose so that the worker doesn't have the information they need to base their decision on to take the order.
Well, then it's gonna turn worse then. Like they're gonna make people even more pissed.
And that's what I'm thinking. Almost they don't mind. They're at 2 million drivers now. I'm thinking maybe they're going through some weeding process where they're like, let some fall off.
Okay.
It's just a guess of mine.
Yeah, it's very possible because like you're actually making it worse. You're gonna piss people off even more.
Right. I mean, like we've said, we will keep doing this for people at Para. However, we challenge DoorDash to do it themselves.
Yeah, that's your goal. That's your
You
end
know
goal.
what? You know what, DoorDash? Why don't you do it?
Right.
We did it with just 4 people. Four of us did this whole thing and made it so that every every DoorDash user could see the tip.
Right.
So that means you guys not only have that information, you've had the ability to make that a possibility forever.
Is from the beginning.
Yeah. And you have chosen not to do that. So we're hoping that they get yelled at a lot this week and have to bring the tip portion back, thinking that we'll just kind of fall off. But our patch is still there. So for all the people out making videos saying our patch was discovered and ripped down, no, it wasn't. They changed their whole platform based on our patch because they couldn't find it.
They couldn't find it. Now, how great would it be if everyone just stopped doing DoorDash? I mean, like, go to Grubhub, go to Uber Eats, like, just stop using it. Maybe they'll get the notice that, like, hey, we need to get our shit together. This isn't right.
Well, and that's why David and I are going to be working this week, and hopefully by end of this week, if not by the very beginning of next week, we will have a published press release out for everybody to read. And also it will be sent to a lot of our friends who are in news, who are in big news, San Francisco Chronicle, some big papers, Denver Post, Miami Herald, Chicago Tribune. We have friends at all those agencies, and we're getting it out to all of them. So the same day that we post it, it's going to be in their hands. And hopefully it'll be a huge slap on DoorDash. Huge. Because to find, I mean, again, it's going to be one of those things that they just don't want attention for. We rip our drivers off. Mm-hmm. People have started hearing that enough where they understand we really do get ripped off.
Yeah.
And so I think that people are kind of getting sick of it. And you might get people who are like, oh, well, then screw DoorDash, I'll go to Grubhub. Again, it's not like Grubhub's so much better, but great. Go to Grubhub, go to Uber Eats, get off DoorDash because we figured out a way to show you the full tip. And they let it go on for a while until we got to almost 200,000 people.
Right.
200,000 users that they started seeing, okay, well, that's a lot of people, a lot of our dashers. Let's deal with it.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room too, them encouraging their customers to leave a tip. I mean, that needs to be a conversation with the customer in the app. Like, hey, these guys are driving around, they're using their own car. This is important for them to tip, not just like offer a percentage or whatever, but like literally have a pop-up for a while, maybe for 3 months, and says, hey, unfortunately, or maybe if you don't tip, it says, hey, unfortunately, you can not tip, but your chances of getting this food delivery in a timely manner aren't going to happen. Now, I know it seems suicide for a company to do that, but I mean, seriously, let's have a conversation about that.
Well, because I mean, they'll just say that, you can't encourage it. You can't like push the tip down people's throats. And then they'll say that, plus why would they even do that? Because they don't care.
I know they don't. Yeah, that's true.
With 2 million drivers, they don't care if you get tipped or not.
Yeah, but they do care when you go to Chipotle at 8 p.m. and there's 40 orders that are going to get thrown in the dumpster because they didn't get taken. I mean, that's now they've lost that because they're refunding the money to the customer. So they got to care about that.
Yeah.
Or there's just too many dumbasses that will take the $3 orders, which is incredible to me that someone would do that.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that, even like right now, I saw under scrutiny that I was going to bring up tonight was that, I don't know if you're familiar with GoPuff.
Yes. It was supposed to launch in Grand Rapids pre-pandemic, and then it never did. I was signed up and everything.
GoPuff is getting creamed right now for ripping off their workers.
Really?
Creamed, dude. Like it's basically coming out to like $3 an hour.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard,
because they're basically as untransparent as a company can be.
Oh no.
It's like, just go do this and we'll pay you some money.
We don't know how much, but we'll let you know next week.
I mean, it's really sad, but let's see the updates. The Para YouTube channel too. Make sure that people are staying tuned in with that and sign up for it, because David was doing some videos on Facebook group, but he's going to be just doing short 1 to 2 minute videos almost daily for the next like 2 to 3 weeks. Just kind of
Okay.
saying like giving everybody quick updates, nothing in detail, but just trying to keep the para users happy, knowing that we're still doing things so that,
That's good. I mean, everyone likes communication, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't matter what kind of service you're getting. We just had, I mean, just a quick example. We just got family pictures taken on June 5th. She said she'd have them in a week. It is now July, what is it, the 12th? We still don't have them. Crickets. Finally emailed today, like, oh, my editor quit on me, blah, blah, blah. Like, well, could you have said that?
Yeah,
like, we would
exactly.
we're patient people. We're compassionate people. I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry you're struggling with that. You know what? Get it to us when you can. It's no big deal. Communication is key. So letting para users know this is what's going on. You don't have to go in super details, but maybe a once a week video or anything like that would be helpful.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And like when I do things like you were saying with pictures, and I got my son, it's hard once it gets to a certain point of time too to keep it in your memory bank.
Exactly.
Like by that time, you're probably starting to forget you even did it.
Right. I mean,
And then she emailed you and you're like, oh yeah, right. That thing. What the heck? It's like, where are my pictures? It's
right.
So, I mean, I get that. Let's see. So the independent contractor status, I did want to say, there are some DoorDashers out there who are very against para. I don't know if you've seen the Reddit stuff.
Oh yeah, you saw the whole on Twitter too. Those couple of trolls, and I started going hard in the paint, and then finally I just blocked that guy because I was like, all right, I'm done with this.
But there's one main group that was being pretty cool about it on Reddit, and now if you put the word para in, you're kicked out of the group.
Really?
You write the word para, you're gone.
Wow.
Doesn't even matter what context you put it in. If you put para in your comments, you're gone.
Wow. Yeah, I'm a lingerer in a lot of those groups. I get a lot of content from it, but I've never posted in there.
Yeah, no, I'm just surprised that like that's the kind of way they're going to run a group. Like, I mean, that's basically saying, hey, listen, let's not talk about that. Remember, because that tells everybody what they should make.
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't want to talk about that. If you're an actual independent gig worker, why wouldn't you want to make more money? Like there's one guy on Twitter too. I still follow him because he was not mean about it. I think it's DoorDash Master or whatever, and he's just like, blah blah blah. You're greedy. I'm like,
I saw that.
Yeah. Like, how are we greedy? Like, if they would just tell us what it was, that would be fine. We're not being greedy. We're just using every available tool to make as much money. Why wouldn't you want to do that?
So from what I know, it wasn't from him. It wasn't from the DoorDash master, but from what I know from somebody like him, who I actually talked to and said, well, why are you so against para? He's like, because it made so many people come onto the app and just sit at home and cherry pick. And I'm thinking, did it though? I mean, like, it made a lot of people come to the para app who were dashers, but I don't think we got people by the droves and 100,000 signing up for DoorDash because of para. It was more like DoorDashers learned about para and used it.
Yeah, exactly. They're already door dashing. They already have the skills. Like, I have the skill to try to get the best order possible. Yeah. Was I always right? Was I always the best? No, I wasn't. And para just gave me a next level up to be better. That's all it was. I was already out there doing the work.
Right. Exactly. And and I mean, what bottom line, people, is it lets you earn more in a shorter period.
Yeah. Why would you hate that?
I mean, like we were brought up, at least I was, work. And I've always worked hard too, but work smart, not hard.
Exactly.
But you sometimes have to work very hard too. But like working smart means use everything at your disposal to make your money.
Right.
I mean, again, people, this is your business. You don't work for DoorDash. If you did, they would make that acceptance rating matter. You're done. Right. So, because I mean, I know a guy in Austin who's got a 5% acceptance rating. Yeah. And has done about 1,000 dashes.
Right.
So I mean, if you do that math, dude, that means he's turned down a ton.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a question. You know, the driver utility helper, how come DoorDash doesn't get their panties in a bunch about that?
What do you mean?
You know what that app is?
No.
So basically it's an app. It doesn't tell you tips, but it basically declines and accepts things
Oh,
on
where you can
certain.
like set parameters.
Yeah, and I think Para is probably going to do something like that if I had to guess, but that's my opinion, Steve. That's my opinion, not fact.
Right. Maestro actually did that, and the new Maestro is actually doing that again too,
Yeah,
where you
that's
can
what I
set
heard.
your parameters saying like, I don't want to go more than this many miles. I don't want to make less than this. And they've got all kinds of filters you can set.
Yeah, I used it this year towards
Did
the
it
end of.
did it work?
I loved it. I
It worked.
loved it. It worked. I mean, every once in a while it bugged out, but I mean, it's technology, right? It's going to bug out every once in a while, but I loved it. Like I was like, nothing under $7, nothing more than $1 a mile. That's how I set it up.
Well, my guess is right now today that app doesn't work
That's a good point.
because what they did to us would affect them directly.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I'm
Because
not
now
really.
they can't get that same note of information that says, yeah, this fell in your filters. They won't know anymore. They'll just be like, I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't really follow anything about them. I used it when I was working. Then I paid $10 a month for it, and I was happy to pay it.
Yeah.
But I just canceled it because I was going to fire it up this fall. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good point.
That's a good thing that you brought up, because maybe that's somebody we should get in touch with
100%.
and be like, yo, you guys still getting a read, or did
Right,
this go
'cause
down for you?
they're
And
they're scraping that data of like how much I don't know if they could see the extra tip, but they at least could tell you that this order is only going to be $7 and it's going to be 89 cents a mile. Jason doesn't want that one, so we're not even going to send it to him.
right.
So,
Which is still pulling the para or the DoorDash data though.
100%.
I mean, they're still in there, but maybe they're pulling it from the subtotal. But I would imagine that somewhere in there, based on if you're using filters and stuff, it includes the tip too, and they were going after the same thing we were.
Yeah, it might be worth reaching out to them. I don't know.
Maybe it's just a little different because in our app it popped down and you actually saw a number for the tip.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
$80. Whoa.
As you drive off the road.
Right. I mean, like there's probably, again, I haven't used it, you have, but like, again, theirs doesn't do that.
Yeah, correct.
Theirs just says, hey, you set a bunch of filters and this falls in your parameter, take this.
And I actually have to really congratulate everyone at Para that was able to get an iOS app, because unfortunately the driver utility helper is Android only. So I would run an Android phone. I have an iPhone and an Android. I don't.
Okay.
It's sitting on my desk right now. I turn it off while I'm not, it's a Pixel.
Right.
But yeah, I couldn't believe when Para was on iOS too. I'm like, how in sweet baby Jesus did that work?
Yeah, I think it's just I really think it's clean code. I don't think it's necessarily about what you're doing, because we heard a lot of horror stories with, you can submit anything to Google Play and they'll put it up.
Yeah.
Anything. Like your app can now work and they'll put it up almost.
Yeah, they don't care.
Right. But with Apple, they're very hardcore. So be careful. And they only allow a certain amount of submissions in a certain amount of time. They allow one correction. We got it through on the first try.
Wow.
So maybe they just kind of, I mean, I don't know what, I still have a screenshot because it went back down, but we got up to 2 weeks ago. If you went to the iOS store and typed in Para and then hit Para, and we're looking at the app before you downloaded it, we were number 9 in business.
Oh, geez.
That's pretty big for the country.
Yeah, it is.
To be number 9 in all business apps.
Right.
Like right now we're at about 27 or 36. I mean, it went right back up a bit, but we're still in the top 100.
Yeah, that's saying something.
It really does. I mean, like I know that when we were 9, it was when we went from 29 to 180.
Right, of course.
I mean, that's just the usage was just going through the roof.
Yeah.
But
no, it's great that you guys, maybe it's because it's, iOS protects their users' data, and you're not really asking for, you're asking for DoorDash's data, but you're not asking for our personal stuff. So maybe it was easier to get through or something. I don't know.
No, that's a good point. I had to bring this up and to David too, and I'm gonna bring it up to you because it's kind of funny. So I showed my son, like I was telling you about the chat room for Para.
Yeah.
And it's so out of control. I mean, there was sexual assault, there was religious assault, there were dick pics, there were,
Oh
I mean,
my
it was
God.
it was going through the roof. So, but there was some stuff that was just bad. And I was showing my son like I took a screenshot so he didn't have to see the live feed in case it changed. And I
Right.
said, look at this. It gets really bad. And he said, or what was it? The next day he said to me, you were right. It got way worse. And I was like, huh? And he downloaded the app
Oh.
and he's 14.
Oh no.
He made a fake name and you only needed your phone number to verify it.
Wow. Whoopsies.
So like, I mean, like that kind of was an eye opener to us too. Cause I said to David, dude, we can't have 14-year-olds on here.
No, you can't.
Especially with the sexual, racial, and all this other assault that was happening. But the chat room's coming down this week, so it's gone.
Yeah, I think take it down and revamp it with moderators and some parameters. And
I think my advice to David was that we just go to regional. The general chat for the entire United States was getting out of hand.
Yeah, I mean,
to be honest, why wouldn't you just want to talk with people in your region anyway?
True. Very good point.
I mean, we created the general chat for like once all the markets were launched so that you could look at yours and go, wait, why am I hearing about all these others? And maybe get in general chat and throw out a question like, hey, is anybody in Louisville, Kentucky? Because I'm only making this and I keep hearing that other people are making this. I'm looking for some reality. And we kind of thought it might be a place where not many people would hang, but they might go in there for market to market questions.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think
I think we need to go to regional. I think we need no general chat. And I guess the real big thing I wanted to say though is like you were saying about the group and like I was saying about chat was that it's just really disturbing how many people, and again, like you said, there are so many people praising us and telling people to shut up or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a certain amount of trolls in Facebook and there's a certain amount of trolls on our chat. And I think that the troll number multiplied by like 50 when the app went down.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was really sad to me because that wasn't just new trolls. That was people who were using the app and happy, getting bitter about your free app making you more money for months, being down. Again, not off, not shut down, but just offline because we hit a snag with a company that is a million times our size.
Right. Yeah, I don't understand it. And maybe it's the lazy people that they were making more money and now they don't want to actually, think about what they're doing. I mean, come on. I mean, I know it's an easy job, but there is still some thought process involved with it. You do have to be somewhat knowledgeable and skill based on doing that. You can't just throw the app on and just do whatever. And maybe those people were the lazy people and they were like, now I can't make my money. I have to actually go out and work longer. I don't know. But people are just fixed anyways.
I mean, it's the same way that you and I have always talked about rideshare though. Like, you don't, the first day, if you could start complaining about, I didn't make crap. Well, you don't know yet. You need to, it's like anything, dude. These companies can't provide you training videos or else they'd be an employer.
Right.
So they can't
I had
help
to watch
you.
I had to watch the one on Uber.
Yeah.
9 videos.
Yeah. And Lyft did that a couple years ago too about sexual assault.
Yeah. Which is, I'm totally fine. I think it's an important topic, but I mean, like, if you're not going to make, like, wait a minute, doesn't this violate the contractor thing?
I don't know. I started thinking maybe because it wasn't business related.
Maybe. And it wasn't basically provided by Uber. It was like the third Rainier.
Yeah, but I mean, like I started thinking like maybe it's not about how to earn and all this. It's telling you, dude, we need to talk sexual assault.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only way I could find around that to make any sense, is that it just had to be that. I don't know, but To everybody out there, Para is down right now. Yes. Para is Thursday launching an update, and in 2 weeks an update. Grubhub, Uber Eats, earnings tracking, which we've had a ton of people bothering us about. Why did this stop working? Well, we got it back working. And I know now you might be going, well, now DoorDash doesn't work. We're going to still have the DoorDash thing on there telling you what we think. And we recommend that you try it at least. I mean, at least try it.
Yeah.
And see, are we recommending to you correctly? Heck, help us out.
Yeah.
We're still growing too. And we always are up for information. So if you learn something like, hey, this isn't predicting carefully, let us know, because we're trying to build and build and build. But, a lot of people have counted us out. And I don't think that that's a good assessment. Obviously, people can believe what they want. And if you want to believe all the scare tactics out there and whatnot, but we're working really hard. What I will say is this. We did it once before with DoorDash, and they couldn't stop us for 10 weeks. And
Right.
yes, there's a lot of people who asked us. Yes, they were very much aware that we were out there.
Yeah.
I mean, and as we grew, they were very much aware. But it took them 10 weeks. And then people say, oh, they finally got you. They shut you down. They didn't. They changed their whole platform because of us. So we did something right in the beginning, and none of us have said that we're done. So have a little faith here and give us a little time, and you might find us plugged right back in.
I want to throw something out there too. What I think is happening, I've noticed on the Facebook groups that some people's apps haven't updated. Some people don't have automatic updates up, and they'll be like, oh, my pair is working fine. Is that something? I mean, I know you shut it down, but literally this morning they said it was working fine. Like I saw it on the group. So, I mean.
Well, I think that what they're seeing the DoorDash tip.
Okay.
You know how DoorDash, again, still that hasn't quite changed yet, but it's going to probably tomorrow how this views. But right now it's still viewing the old way. So it would still show you that partial tip. And they're saying, oh, I'm seeing it in Para too.
Okay.
But you're not seeing, I saw somebody put out a challenge to say, show me the DoorDash ticket and show me the Para app saying that you are going to get more.
Right. Well, I think this is where the communication comes in, maybe from Para to say, hey, this app is down. Like put a notice or pin it in that group and say, you're not getting the information from Para. It is down currently. Because then I think that's what confuses a lot of people, because people are like, oh, it works fine for me, even though they're wrong. Right. You know what I mean? And so then it just, again, we talked about the communication at the beginning, like, maybe it's a daily video. It only has to be 1 minute. Like, hey, it's still down. This is what we're working on. And I know they're busy too, but I mean, again, if people see that stuff, they're less likely to be assholes, or, I mean, maybe they're going to be an asshole regardless, but
I have to think a lot of those people are new though, because people that use the Para app know, okay, here's the DoorDash stuff. If it's matching, okay,
it's pretty easy.
Para's not up because it's not,
right.
It's just the same thing.
That's a good point. It may be new people that, if you've used it before, you realize that it's not working.
I mean, the amount of new people we see per day is pretty crazy. So I used to think even for a while that, why are you people yelling about this now? But I realized they're literally, I thought some even were lying. I just joined. I'm like, bull crap. But I think they just did. We're onboarding that many people who are like, now what do I do? Is this safe? I can't tell you how many times in the chat I've seen, is this safe?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, and then if I don't respond quickly, because we don't fully moderate it, and I was just getting in there lately, but if I don't respond quickly, other people do, and they put weird answers or whatever. They'll put, it's safe. They just sell your data to China.
That's why I need to turn that Facebook group into all the questions have to be approved before they put out. It's annoying. I hate that, because there's a group I'm into that I put a question out and it got kicked out. They wouldn't post it. I'm like, what the frick? They're like, oh, go to see our terms of service or go see our FAQ, so that was annoying, but also eliminates a lot of the trolls and those kind of things.
Yeah. I actually a few times suggested you guys should start a different group.
Yeah.
To the troll types who also, some of them might be using the app, but they're just, I mean, I've had people email me and complain, You know, like, is this for dating? I don't really get it, because there's people on there asking if they can fuck each other, or, hey, can I, it's so crazy to me that, like, really, like, it's the chat is embarrassing, or was a week ago, like, to go in there, because I
Yeah.
would see one noob's question and they'd just devour him if I didn't get in there.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here, newbie. This thing doesn't work and it's not for you. Beat it, punk. And like,
Right.
F you, and then dick pics and naked, and,
Well, hope everyone has learned that you need moderators in any group. This is 2021. Doesn't matter what group you're in, you need some sort of restrictions. I mean, it just has to be that way, unfortunately.
And with 188,000 users, it almost needs to be moderated 24/7 by a few moderators.
Oh yeah,
because that chat moves so quick. It's like,
yeah, you need 15 to 20 moderators.
Right. And we're nowhere. We don't even we have 4 people on our whole team.
Right. No, you need to like volunteer people or ask.
Right. And we've had some that volunteer and stuff. We just weren't quite there.
Yeah, I totally get that.
I think for right now, the best plan is just to pull it down.
100%.
But like I said, David's going to be doing updates on video. David and I are going to be putting out a big release that's actually going to be an eye opener. And it's also going to question whether or not DoorDash is actually breaking the law.
Yeah, I've seen that get posted a few times.
But we're going to do it in a very, very big way that we have tried to avoid, because we didn't want attention to the Para app. However, now that this has happened, game on.
Yeah, who cares now?
Yeah, I mean, because we're still going to come back, but game on. You guys want to do this? Let's talk.
Yeah.
Again, I've put out the challenge. DoorDash, release full tip transparency, or else we will.
Right.
We already did. And we're now going to release like an estimator. And then in a few weeks, we'll be back to showing the full transparency anyway. So you can either do it yourself, DoorDash, or we'll do it for you.
Yeah, here's your break. Here's your couple week break of opportunity to change your tune. And then after we figure it out, because you'll eventually figure it out. I mean,
absolutely.
Then we're going to be right back at it. So,
but Grubhub and Uber Eats coming on the platform this week are pretty big. I know the earnings estimator is something you can run even if you're using DoorDash and not wanting to use Para, because it starts telling you that you're, how much you're spending as to how much you're making.
Okay.
So like, hey, you're putting in too many miles, or hey, you might start kind of adjusting. Like, I need to take shorter trips. I need to. And so in its own way, that's almost a great teaching tool.
Yeah, and maybe you can't answer this, and I know it's been brought up a ton of times about Para as a user. Why aren't you charging for it? Like, wouldn't that a nice cash flow kind of give you guys a little? Maybe we can bring on another coder. Like, maybe we can bring on someone to moderate or something like that. Even if it was like $1 a month or something, just to get a little breathing room.
So last week I had David on the podcast. Okay. And by the end of it, I got into it with him because he's been asked a few times on videos. And I've even been on some where he's asked and I'm on it too. And he's asked and he's like, well, I confronted him.
Okay.
I was like, look, dude, not monetizing with commercials, not this, but at some point here soon, we need to start charging people for the service, because what people don't understand is, like, before we had it in the app where you'd see the tip and you were getting texts, our phone company contacted Para and said, hey, you guys are going through way too many texts, which I didn't even know was a thing anymore. And so they started
when one driver is getting like, I don't know, 75 texts just from Para a day.
Right. So that's still our emergency backup. So if the app were to go down, it still goes back to text. And actually, I mean, people would be shocked how much that costs.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was shocked when David told me, he's like, dude, per day, it's like, I'm like, whoa. And that's when we had less users. So, but we've had to go through things like, like we had a server or two. We had to go through, like, going to some of David's old friends from when he was in Vegas as an Uber ops manager, of using like a server farm that can constantly expand to our need.
Okay.
So like right now we're with, we have a server company that charges us accordingly too, based on how many people are on all the time and how much of their bandwidth and stuff they have to give up. And so everything's in place to work. And I pointed out to David, even with angel investors and things of that nature that started us up, it's time to, I said Maestro right out of the gate was charging $9.99.
Right.
Or
I think
or $99 a year, either one you wanted.
Yeah.
I
think it brings the legitimacy to a company when you do charge. I mean, don't rake people over the coals, but when you pay for it, and maybe that's why they're not, because then someone may expect more from it. Like if it does go down, people get fussy. I want my money back. But when you're talking a couple of dollars here and there, I mean, you guys, it's one delivery a month.
Exactly.
It's pennies.
And so what I had said to David was, we don't have to go to the Maestro. I think here's what happened is that when we started Para and David and I were working on all these ideas, it was about, like worker data and all these other things. And it was even called autonomy.jobs. It wasn't Para yet. But when it became Para, it was like we had an idea and we almost tripped and fell into tip transparency. I mean, we've always been about transparency, but like specifically tip transparency with DoorDash, it just happened to be something that Jeff, our programmer, kind of strolled upon while working on a bunch of other things we were wanting to do. It was like, wait a minute, I think I might have this figured out. And we didn't realize the growth rate was going to be so big, so quick. And we were still in that phase of like, we didn't feel right charging people for a non-perfected system.
Well, Uber's, I'll say you don't pay for Uber, but there's plenty of apps I use out there that are like top of the line that I pay for that don't work all the time.
Right. And I mean, and I got to tell you, I'm with you, because that's what happened on the last podcast as I brought it up to David. But I mean, like, he was of the nature, like, well, we go down in cities for a few minutes. Like, and then people are already complaining. I'm like, so let them pay $1. Like you said, $1 and complain. They're still going to complain. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, if you charge,
and if they're not getting the worth out of it, then they won't pay for it.
Right. They'll just stop using.
But like you just said, dude, one ride and you pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I told David, I said, why not till the end of the year say to people, listen, either we put a donate button up or just charge people $1 for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And just say, if you get on this $1 plan anytime between now and December, you'll be locked into forever $5, even if we go up to 10.
Yeah. Even the donate button. I think I've even seen people say, David, put your Cash App out there or your Venmo or whatever. We want to help you. You know what I mean? And
I told him that was a great challenge. I said, do it. Let's see if they really do.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's easy to talk.
Of course.
It's easy to say, I'll give $500 if they keep this app up. Right. Would you?
Yeah. I wouldn't. I mean, 500.
No. But I'm just saying, like, these people who make all these claims, really, would you? Because let's say we do. Would you? Are you gonna?
Yeah.
I mean, like, think how far that it would take us if even just every person on a donate button, like on the first, they download Para and they're a little sketched out because they're, even if they've heard great things, they're a little worried. Like, does this put me in jeopardy? I get all that. But then they do the first one and they, whatever they make that they wouldn't have seen or something, like, if let's say they took half of the extra part of the tip that they don't think they would have made without Para on just that first trip and donated it. Can you imagine the amount of money that would come in that would allow us to buy servers, to have moderators, to
probably be $500,000.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And I was saying to David, it's not like it needs to come in every day, but like whatever kicks it up to the next level.
Right.
But I mean, we're facing so many hurdles, but at the same time, it's like we were inches from launching Grubhub and Uber Eats while DoorDash was still up. We held off on the update, which will now go this week. So those are going to come back. DoorDash can come back. And then I think I even think the DoorDash amount will come back, because unless DoorDash wants to stick with a platform where drivers don't get to know any of the tip until after they've completed their dash, I don't know what kind of service you're going to get with that.
That's Postmates. They always did that until Uber bought them. Like I ran Postmates a few times up here. They don't tell you shit.
Right, but then you probably didn't do it as much.
No, I probably did like maybe 25 Postmates. And when it was so incredibly slow, everything else, I was like, all right, I'll take it. And then no tip, nothing.
Yeah.
$1.
Well, most of them, I don't use all of them, but most of them don't have the flow screen that DoorDash does for tipping.
As far as like if you're checking out.
Yeah, I think you have to go back and tip.
I don't think so. I mean,
Like
I've
Uber
done
Eats, like does it have a flow screen where before you place your order?
Yes.
It does. Okay.
Yeah, now that's relatively new with Uber. Probably in the last, maybe just around the pandemic, they changed that. But Grubhub has always been that way. They ask for the tip up front before you check out every time.
So I wonder why it's always the DoorDash customers that tip.
What do you mean?
I mean, even like what we've seen in our statistics, DoorDash tippers tip more. The unicorn tippers are much more likely to be found on DoorDash.
Interesting.
You don't see $80 tips on Uber Eats and Grubhub.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I've never gotten a tip
maybe
that
it's
big.
just because so many more people use DoorDash. I mean, more people use DoorDash than Grubhub and Uber Eats combined.
Right. That's probably it. That's probably it.
So I mean,
But
that could be a big portion, but
I mean, honestly, and I know we're getting close to wrapping up, but during the pandemic, like I ran, as much as I hated DoorDash because they were the cheapest orders, I kind of, with that utility app and then like I kind of switched to almost all DoorDash because it was busier. Yeah, I declined a shit ton, but I would get more work on those. So I'm like, I'm gonna kind of go where the work is. And then now that I can not have to actually touch my phone to decline shitty tips, I mean, it was like I stayed on DoorDash because Grubhub, and obviously you guys are working on bringing that stuff, but Grubhub and Uber, I didn't have an app that did that for me.
So on those, can you go back and change the tip?
So Uber, yes. I don't think you can on Grubhub.
So you can bait a little bit with fake tip and go back and.
I have had twice where they've reduced the tip on Uber, but they never like brought it to zero. I don't know, for whatever reason I didn't perform to their liking, and they may take $2 or $3 off. But
or they just knew they were going to do it.
Yeah, that could be. And maybe Uber doesn't let you reduce it all the way to zero. Maybe you only can go 50% or something.
Right.
But I've done maybe 300 or 400 Uber Eats, and I think it has only happened twice.
Okay.
So
yeah, because I don't know, it's pretty crazy. Like I would think that I don't like that feature either, but I know that if you take away that feature to change tips, that then people call in for a free delivery altogether.
Yeah.
Like if you're 2 minutes late, if one thing was wrong in your order.
Yes.
And I understand getting a wrong order. None of us like it, but like if you order 10 items and one's not right, it doesn't mean the whole order's trashed and you should get everything for free.
So that's interesting you bring that up, because I've had a couple instances on DoorDash. They don't give you everything for free. Like they just credit whatever the meal is. Like I had some cold wings once and they're like, all right, we'll give you an $8 credit. I mean, it wasn't like they've never given me a whole meal credit ever.
Because Uber Eats has given Max and I, my son and I.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, we've complained twice. And this isn't, obviously, me, this isn't, they're the only ones we've used. I don't use DoorDash. I don't use Grubhub. I don't know why. I don't like Uber at all, but for some reason I use Uber Eats.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, like twice we've gotten like there's a Chipotle near us, about a mile or 2 miles. And like once we got one coming from like 19 miles away.
And
I was like trying to cancel it and all this stuff. And by the time it got there, it was cold. And I was trying to cancel it for the driver really more than anything. Because I was like, why the hell is this guy bringing this from Westminster?
Yeah, why is he taking this?
Right. So I was like, what the heck? And so I'm trying to do everything I can. And then I got there and it was freezing cold. They actually got it from the restaurant up in Westminster. So they got it where they were and drove it 30 miles to us or 30 minutes to us.
A lot of the apps do that, though. You know that, right? Because they know that there's no one around the other Chipotle. So they're just going to get the driver that's closest to a Chipotle. I have that happen to me all the time.
Really? Because this is Denver, dude. There's so many drivers. I mean, like that's the closest you could get.
Yeah, I always say the same thing too, because I'll see some orders come in and I'm like right next to this restaurant. I'm like, there's one 15 minutes west, and I'm not taking this. I'm not driving 15 minutes. I don't care if I'm right here. So
Yeah.
I don't know. They all do that. But anyways, so did you complain to Uber and they
Yeah,
just
I'd
gave
call
you
him and
credit?
say this was cold. And I also would complain, you made a driver go way out of his way. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This driver in no way should be penalized, but this is not okay.
Well, he's a
This
dumbass.
is
I would call him a dumbass, the driver.
well,
That
maybe it was his first day.
still, I mean, common sense says that's. I mean,
Yeah, I
would you
know,
tip
but
him
what if it's your
$100?
first order though?
I guess.
I mean,
Okay,
you're just
fine.
like, you're like, I don't know. Maybe they don't know. And they're like, maybe that puts me in an area where then I'm going to get more orders. Maybe they don't know all the schematic
Yeah, I'll
parts.
give it to you if it's his first order, but if it's his fifth order, he's dumb.
Only the first order.
Yeah, you get one freebie.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he lived over this way.
Could be. You're
and
right.
he was calling it at night. I don't know.
That's a really good point. You're right. He's like, I'll just take this one, whatever. I live right where you live.
Yeah.
Or,
I don't know.
Like,
But to the customer, that's horrible. Don't show me
horrible.
that there's 6 Chipotles in between me and this other Chipotle. And I'm going to get not only a driver that's far away, but I'm getting it from that Chipotle.
Well, I think a lot of people don't pay attention like we do. You know what I mean? They don't give a shit. They just don't even look at their app. They order the food. It shows up. And yeah, they'd be fussy when it's cold, but you figured it out like, oh, why is this happening? Like, no, I don't want this. I don't want this. But most people don't even think about it.
Right.
So
I don't know.
We're the experts, Steve.
I know.
We're professionals.
So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at with Para. And I don't know. I mean, I guess, another thing I was going to bring up tonight was that drivers coming back on the platform still isn't really happening that big. And I just realized there's 12 more weeks of pandemic pay. I guess I was still thinking that it was like last year where it ended in July.
No, I think it ends in September, right?
I think it's the end of September because it's actually October that it's over.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I haven't been paid attention.
I mean, August, September. Yeah, I mean, there's 12 weeks left.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess I thought it was end of July, which was going to make it so that a lot of rideshare drivers had to come back on the platform before colleges started.
No.
Because that's going to be a weird thing,
Yeah.
Because when colleges start, you need rideshare big time.
Yeah. For sure.
And like we know, like Larry, Larry's been doing it through all of this. If you ever look at Larry's Instagram account, it's always people partying in his car.
Yep.
In a good way, not like wrecking and trashing, but like fun people.
Exactly.
And they're going to need a lot of Larrys to make rideshare go.
They better bring the money because, Steve, I didn't know if I told you, but I went out and drove Lyft about 2 weeks ago, 10 rides because they were offering me $100. And I drove so many damn miles to get those 10 rides and that extra $100. I was like, I'm doing food delivery. Screw this rideshare shit. Like they're gonna have to do something to tease me to come back to do rideshare because it was not.
Why? What were the encounters like?
Well, I only had one encounter with someone, but I mean, it just the amount of extra driving that I did. Like when I do food delivery,
because there's no drivers.
Maybe that could be. I mean, I still kept my parameters. Like I still said I wasn't going to take anything over like 10 minutes away. So I still kept those parameters, but like I ended up from my city to way on the other side of the city to south of the city where like when I'm doing food delivery, I'm in my little city and I barely leave 5 mile radius the whole time. Like I'm able to stay busy and I don't drive near as much. I don't use as much gas.
Right. And
I'm dealing with this crabby ass lady that it was raining and she wanted me to drive 1 foot closer to pick her up. And I told her no. And I'm like, she's like, no, come over here. I'm like, I can't turn around. I'm stuck. And I was like, I hate this so much. I hate it.
Did you get the 100?
Oh yeah, I got the 100. I just did my 10 and sent me the 100 and I was like, I'm out.
And you did the 3 for Uber?
I haven't gotten that one yet.
Really?
No. A lot of people in my market have gotten it. I have not gotten it.
Dude, you should go in the app and email them. What the heck, man? Everybody's getting these $100 for 3 rides. I want one. I'll come back.
I would love to. I would love to do that.
Because as far as I know, I mean, they send those out to everybody. And they keep sending them
No, I know there's
until
people
you
in
take it. Like,
I know I would, but they haven't sent it to me.
weird. Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Is we've been up to our ears with Paris stuff and a bunch of lies and misinformation and
Yeah,
bunk YouTube channels and
yeah. I guess, like I said, any opportunity that you can tell people to F off and say, hey, go to the YouTube channel, go to Paris YouTube channel. There's where you can find your information. I think that's going
yeah.
to be beneficial for you.
Well, I hope so. But I mean, I know that a lot of these YouTubers are going to keep putting out stuff that they want to put out too for whatever their reasons.
They want clicks.
Yeah, I know. But it's like I was telling you before we came on, like, how far does that get you? I was saying to Jason before we hit record, like, why wouldn't you just want to tell the truth or say, in my opinion, or things of that nature? Like,
you gotta say, in my opinion, like, this is what I'm speculating. It could be true, it could be not. Like, that's just being a decent person.
Right. I mean, some of the videos say things like, I'm just waiting to hear from my connection at Para.
Right.
And I'm like, who's your connection at Para? Because I know everything going on with us right now, and there's not something we're about to tell people.
Probably another YouTuber.
No, that's what I'm saying. These are YouTubers.
No, but it's probably their connection is another YouTuber.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, but I mean, like, some of them claim that they know Team Para and they're just waiting to hear from us. And I'm like, maybe you do, because I don't know necessarily that Jeff doesn't. I mean, I know who David and Jimmy know, but I don't know, Jeff might know, but Jeff really doesn't talk that much to people. So
yeah, people are full of shit. But anyways,
well, this was, I'm glad that you were able to come on, but you came on at the blow up moment.
Yeah, no, you answered some questions for me as a Para user, and so I'm excited that things are still working. I mean, I didn't really know anything either about if it was going to be shut down for good. I doubt it in my head. I was like, probably not. They're just going to work on it, and it's not. This shit takes time, man. Like, I can't even wrap my head around coding something like that. Like, you got to be like super smart, and it's like, it doesn't just happen overnight.
And it's not even just the coding. People have to realize, how many meetings we go through of just brainstorming?
Right.
Like, what if, and then we'd be like, well, no, because if that happened, then you'd get this. And that's what kind of helps Jeff to code it a bit.
Yeah.
Is even just us having a non-coding, but very thoughtful discussion about it.
Right.
Where he can go, okay, yeah, that's I got an idea from that. And like him to be able to go, okay, because we address everything. And so the one thing I will say is that Para was never designed to be a DoorDash tip transparency app. Para is going to be a lot of things.
Yeah.
So don't delete Para yet,
Right.
Yeah. I mean, do what you want, but I'm telling you, don't delete it, because what you loved about DoorDash, we're about to release some stuff with other companies that you're going to love. And then we're going to get back on attacking DoorDash.
Yeah.
Because we're not done with them.
No. Course.
I mean, like I said in the beginning, dude, this was like the first inning.
Yep.
I mean, you and I are Tigers fans. We know what it's like to lose a game.
A few. And Red Wings lately.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just saying that don't give up on us. I know our true believers won't, but if some of them drop off the platform, I guess that's okay if you just don't want to have it. But we're not trying to pump an app that we're going to ditch right now.
Right.
So I'm not trying to promo something and then we're going to pull it offline. Like, we're not done. We got a lot of things.
We wouldn't be talking about it if we were.
Or we'd just be saying, yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
It was fun while it lasted. Hope you guys made some money and bye, but that's not where we're at. So
that's good.
I would tell everybody, stand by and stand by for some, while you're waiting for the actual amount to come back on DoorDash, use the new DoorDash feature we will release, but also be looking forward to some of these other transparency things that we found.
Yes. Because
they might all add up for you to make you the same money you've been making. You might find yourself using Grubhub or Uber Eats again. Yes. We can't say you won't, but it might be because you might make more money than you used to with them, just like how we did with DoorDash.
Yeah. Excellent.
So
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, Steve. As always, it's always informative. You know more than anyone. And so I get a lot of my information from you.
Yeah. I don't know
I'll
any
go,
more than anybody, but
I know I go to your website at least once a week. So
yeah. But yeah, I'm glad it was you that was on this week, because I know that anybody else, whoever it would have been, it would have came up.
of course, it's hard
And
not
so like
to.
it was nice that I looked and I'm like, oh, it's Jason, so we can.
Sweet.
Yeah. I
Give
didn't
some
want somebody
feedback.
else trying to be like, oh, so it just fell apart, and not really
Yeah.
being able to have the discussion, because I think people needed to hear it. But
All right.
you
For
know,
sure.
do what you want. I mean, if you want to keep the Para app, keep it. I would, if you want to delete it and come back to it, whatever you want to do. But there are things coming down the pipe, and not in 2 to 3 months. I'm talking about this week, and then in 3 weeks. We've already got 2 updates planned right now.
Yeah.
So things are coming down the pipe, and they're coming down the pipe starting this week.
That's awesome. That's good
So
to
I mean,
hear.
just stay tuned, keep your Para app up, and like Jason said, keep it updated too, people, because if you don't, one thing that I've had to advise a lot of people on is that if you're having Para DoorDash issues with them aligning with timing, I always said close both and reopen them, and it should work. And then sometimes it took a close both, delete both apps, reinstall both apps, and then it would work. And I think sometimes that did have to do with an update.
Yep.
Like maybe you missed one. And so I didn't want to talk about updates, but I was just saying just delete them and reinstall them, and it'll
Right.
sync back up because you get the newest version. So, but yeah, like Jason just said, make sure that you are updating. If you don't have automatic updates on, make sure that you just check once in a while, because Para will run with an older version.
Oh yeah, most apps will for a long time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I mean, it's just you might not be getting timely, and you might go, why are these coming in after I already had to accept or decline? It could be that. And we've also mentioned that it could be where you are. You have one cell bar. Do you not have Wi-Fi? Do you not have your phone connected to use Wi-Fi?
Right.
I mean, it also comes to a lot of those kind of things too. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things, and it's just keep in mind, the stronger the signal, the faster the data transfers. And most people don't have that issue. They figure it out. But yeah, I mean, keep it updated, and, keep using the app, and we're not done. And even with DoorDash, we're not done. If anything, we think what they did is even more deceptive. We're actually a little more mad now. Before it was like, let's get these guys and let's help out the drivers. Now it's like, let's really get these guys.
Exactly.
Like, like you guys, we've given you the chance, be transparent. You don't want to be transparent, then I guess take that as a threat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. There it is. DoorDash, check, not checkmate, but check. Like, I'm putting you in check here. Yeah, you want to do it or not? If you don't, we'll find out a way to do it, and we'll still get it to people. So
yes.
Well, thanks, Jason.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right.